Hello, welcome to Wisdom from the Word. It's episode 34, and I've entitled it Marvelous Mothers. Tomorrow is Mother's Day, and I'm thankful for my mother. I'm thankful that she's still here at 95 years of age. Thankful for all the blessings that we've had in our lives. Some of your mothers are here, some of them are not, but I hope that you have wonderful memories of your mothers, and we want to celebrate mothers, and particularly godly mothers. I do apologize that my voice is a little raspy. I'm struggling a little bit with a cold or allergies. But I also realize that not everybody that listens is a mother. I'm not one. And not everybody that listens is even a woman. So these 3 points that I'm going to share, will fit women, men, single, married, it doesn't matter. They're biblical points, things that we need in our lives. So I hope that they will be a blessing. And we're going to look at 3 passages rather than one main passage, one passage for each point. So the first thing that we should be marvelous in, I would say marvelous mothers, marvelous men, wonderful women. It fits all. We should be marvelous or wonderful in is faithfulness. And the passage there is Ruth chapter 1, verses 16 to 18. And Ruth said, "Entreat me not to leave thee, or to return from following after thee, for whither thou goest, I will go, and where thou lodgest, I will lodge. Thy people shall be my people, and thy God my God. Where thou diest, will I die, and there will I be buried. The Lord do so to me, and more also, if aught but death part thee and me." When she saw that she was steadfastly minded to go with her, then she left speaking unto her. I won't go into all the story, but you know that Ruth was Naomi's daughter-in-law. Her husband had died. Naomi was going back to Israel, and Ruth was not an Israelite, but she chose to stay with her because she had accepted Naomi's God. The word faithful here means full of faith, steadfast in attention or allegiance, utterly loyal. And Ruth was utterly loyal to Naomi. I would ask the question, whether you're a mother, as I said, or a man or a woman, are you faithful? We should be faithful to our families. If you're married, you should be faithful to your husband or wife. You should be faithful to your children. You should be faithful to your parents, your siblings. Be faithful to your friends. If you have faithful friends, be thankful. I have a lot of faithful friends. I have a best friend, Jane, who's been my best friend for over 30-some years, very faithful. Appreciate that. Be faithful to your church and your pastor. Hebrews 10:25 says, "Don't forsake the assembling of yourselves together." So attend church, serve, support. My dad used to say, go each time the doors are open. There may be some reasons why you can't go, but oftentimes they would be far less if we were truly honest with ourselves. God requires faithfulness. 1 Corinthians 4:2 says that he requires faithfulness. And God is always faithful. 1 Corinthians 10:13 says that he is faithful. Bob Jones Sr. said, "The greatest ability is dependability." Can people count on you? Are you a faithful person? Are you marvelous or wonderful in faithfulness? The second one is found in the book of Esther, and it's the idea of being marvelous or wonderful in courage. Now, I'm not going to read the whole passage, but Haman wanted to kill the Jews. He wanted to get rid of them, starting with Mordecai. And he put out this decree, and so Mordecai told Esther, you need to go before the king and talk to him. All right? And of course, she didn't want to go because back then the kings could kill you. Yes, it's his wife. Yeah, he could do that, especially if she weren't invited, and she was not invited to see him. So in verse 14 of Esther 4, the whole passage, if you want to read it, is 8 to 16. But if you look there at verse 14, it says, "For thou altogether holdest thy peace at this time, then shall their enlargement and deliverance arise to the Jews from another place. But thou and thy father's house shall be destroyed, and who knoweth whether thou art come to the kingdom for such a time as this?" Then Esther bade them return Mordecai this answer: "Go gather together all the Jews that are present in Shushan, and fast ye for me, and neither eat nor drink 3 days, night nor day." And then she says that my maidens will fast. And then she concludes there in verse 16, "If I perish, I perish." So she had the courage to go in before the king. And of course, God met her needs and took care of her. The idea of courage here is being mentally alert, the moral strength to persevere and withstand danger, fear, or difficulty. We need courage in our lives. We need the courage to witness Paul prayed in Ephesians 6:19 that he would have the boldness to open his mouth. I know I need to be a better witness. We need to have the courage to stand up for what is right, that integrity that we talked about months ago now. There's a quote that I love: what is popular is not always right, and what is right is not always popular, but we need to stand for right. We also need to have the courage to go through trials, and James 1 talks about that. We will go through the trials. Are we going to be better because of those trials, or are we going to be bitter? Courage is not the absence of fear, but the mastery over it. Because if we weren't afraid, we wouldn't need courage. God gives us that courage. In Psalm 27, it talks about wait on the Lord and be of good courage, and he shall strengthen thine heart. And we need to be encouraging others, as it talks about there in Isaiah 41:6. So what do you need courage for? To witness, to go through a trial? We all need courage. The Lord talks a lot about it. Be marvelous or wonderful in courage. And then the third one is found there in John chapter 12. And this one is marvelous or wonderful in worship. And again, I won't read the whole passage. The passage is John 12, 1 through 11. But the woman comes in here, Mary, in verse 3, and says, she took a pound of ointment of spikenard, very costly, and anointed the feet of Jesus and wiped his feet with her hair. And the house was filled with the odor of the ointment. So she did that for Jesus. It cost a lot of money. The idea of worship here is to honor or reverence God with great, even extravagant respect, honor, or devotion. Now, in order to truly worship God, you need to be saved. So I always come back to, do you know the Lord is your Savior? If not, accept him today. But if you're a Christian, worship involves surrender, which means yielding to God with a clean heart. That's every day, every day. Worship also involves sacrifice. Romans 12:1 talks about being that living sacrifice, dying to self. It also involves service, our time, our talents, our money, our whole lives given to God. He certainly deserves it. It's a reasonable service to do that for him. Worship can be public when you're with other Christians. Worship can be private when you're alone in your bedroom spending time with God. And worship is commanded by God. He's our creator, and if you're a Christian, he's your Savior. What more should we want to do than worship him? So as we look at these three things, do a self-inventory. Where are you? How are you in the faithfulness department? In your church, in your family, at your job? Can people count on you? Are you loyal to your relationships? But number one, are you loyal to God? Secondly, what about courage? Do you lack courage in a certain area? Maybe you need to go to talk to somebody about something, to work out a problem. Don't be afraid. Fear not. Have that courage and take care of it. Courage to witness, the courage to stand up for what's right, even if everyone else in your family or at your job are doing something else. God can give you that courage. And then thirdly, what about worship? Do you take the time every day to get into his word, to pray to him, to sing unto him? Use your life as an act of worship to him every day. So, where are you at in those three things? Are you so-so? Or are you marvelous? Are you wonderful? Are you growing? Are you abounding in faithfulness, courage, and worship? If not, start today, and the Lord will give you the ability to do that. Happy Mother's Day to all of you out there and that are mothers. God bless you, and we'll see you next time.